Happy Devils Wednesday. This is the State of the Fan Address, episode 238, coming to you live from the Primetime Radio Studios inside the bunker in North and South Jersey. Streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter Live, and Twitch on the Let's Go Devils Network. A special time. Happy Thanksgiving Eve to all. To you, Nick Villano, in the United States. I know Canada's already celebrated. Devils going to take on the Detroit Red Wings. And, you get an extra hour of podcast time. That's right. What's up, Nick?
Hey, not much. I always listen, we've talked for many years about what is the proper way to do it, the State of the Fan Address on game day, right? We talked about it back and forth, and we're trying something different. We're going to do a pregame podcast because we could kind of ignore most of what's happening on the game. The game doesn't have to be on. We can kind of still talk about kind of the high level topics without talking about the game itself. But obviously, here's where I want to start, Sam, because I'm seeing this a lot. And I wrote about this a couple days ago, and it's a popular theory in the playoffs by Thanksgiving, and do you have a good shot at making the playoffs overall? Not in the playoffs by Thanksgiving, and you're kind of, in a pickle, right? So 83% of the teams last year that were in the playoffs at Thanksgiving made the playoffs at the end of the season. It sounds preposterous, right? Because it's what is it? 5 months away from the playoffs. But, it seems to work out that it's somewhere around 70 to 75% in normal years of those teams make the playoffs. And it when you look at it like on the surface, Sam, it does make some sense, right? We're about a month into the season, a little bit more. And, the Devils have played 1/5 of their games, 20% of the season. And, a lot of these other teams have played more. I think there's some teams with 19 games. I think what did the Devils have, 16 games? I don't have the standings.
Yeah, 16. Right now, but tonight's 17.
So you kind of, after 17 games, obviously there's injuries involved. Obviously, there's different lineups. And a team like the Devils, who lost so much in the offseason, is going to need some time to gel and kind of get there. And that's kind of my point of why I'm pretty optimistic about this team. I just don't see this team missing the playoffs entirely. They could be like Florida, where they get a wild card spot, but this is a team you don't want to play in the playoffs then. Like the Bruins or the Rangers do not want to see this team in the playoffs. Absolutely not. So you kind of look at the whole scope of things, and you kind of see I think the Devils have what it takes to be that other team, right? One of those, last year was 17%. Most years is 25% of teams that can get in. And they're, beyond just this team having to gel, that's one major reason. But another reason is if you look at the Metropolitan Division, it's a lot of fugazi. It's a lot of teams that are just, I don't trust that. I don't think Washington is this good. I don't think Philly is near this good. Right, I actually think Philly's going to sell eventually. I think they're going to trade Carter Hart. I think they'll trade a couple of those pieces that now have that extreme value. And John Tortorella has always gotten his teams to play well for stretches, but this team just doesn't have enough talent to keep that spot. So I think those are two spots that are going to get replaced. And all of the analytics, and I know you hate the analytics, but all the analytics say the Capitals are playing way above their heads, and not even a little bit, a lot. They're just playing way above their head. They're getting very lucky, and good for them. Better to be lucky than good, but our history has shown that those numbers don't continue beyond stretches. So, and the Devils, meanwhile, have had bad goaltending. I don't want to call them lucky or unlucky. They've been lucky in terms of that the power play has been helping them win games, but they've been unlucky in that their goaltending has been atrocious. And, that does need to be fixed, but I can't expect Vitek Vanacek to be this bad. and I don't expect Akira Schmid to be this bad. I blame the defense over the first 2 or 3 weeks. The defense hasn't been that bad over the past 5 contests. And then there's the topic of a good defense or good offense is the best defense, and getting Nico Hischier back and then getting Jack Hughes back on Saturday. That's going to help things, especially Hischier, because Hischier, right, the second in the Selke voting this last season, a great defensive center. Adding him to the lineup on top of being an 80-point center, that's obviously going to help. So you see so many things. I was mostly happy with the performance against the Rangers, right? I think outside of Vanacek's performance, I was happy with the performance. I thought they took it to the best team of the East, or the best team in the Metropolitan Division right now. They went toe to toe. They had a really bad rebound given up to Jimmy Vesey, and that won the Rangers the game. And I think that the Devils are right there as one of the best teams in the East. They just need to figure out how do you mask this major problem, which is goaltending. And Sam, I'll take it on the chin. I said they didn't need to make a move for goaltending this offseason. I thought they were fine, and they're not. So I don't know what you do now. I don't think there's a move to be made right now. I think you have to just hope it gets better.
So you think that goaltending is the problem? Because I'm completely opposite.
I don't know how you have a doubt in your mind that that's the problem.
I think it's the defense.
Defense has been much better the past 5 games. They're still losing.
The defense is horrible.
They are still.
What
Sam,
game are you watching? What game are you watching?
So here's the thing: is that you're looking at it a little bit too. I think you're looking at it a little bit too black and white, and that's really just not how hockey's played. Overall, they're getting way more offensive chances than they're giving up defensive chances. Overall, they're even the high danger chances. It's a little bit more screwed. They're giving up more high danger chances than are giving up chances as far as the percentages go against those offensive chances. But it's showing that the defense is playing better. It's not good. The defense is not in the top 15. I still think it's around the 20 to 25 range, which is not good enough. But it was it looked terrible to start the season. But again, you expected the defense to have growing pains, right? You're adding Luke Hughes on a nightly basis, and he's actually been one of the better players. So it's not even him.
It's
but
Dougie Hamilton, in my opinion. It's Dougie Hamilton. I mean, he's bad. He's a liability back there. And if you want to talk numbers,
but he adds so much offensively that it makes up for it. So it's not really.
I don't know. I'm differing in opinion.
And that's fine. And I saw the article today by I think it was on the Hockey News, or the Hockey Writers. It was on one of those that talked about that Dougie Hamilton is the problem. I just don't agree. I think that line has not had the same chemistry, and I don't know what it is from year to year, right? The first year that Dougie Hamilton was here, he was great with Ryan Graves and kind of rough with everybody else. So you thought just keep him with Ryan Graves for the whole season, but then the next season they didn't have that same chemistry. Last year he was great with Jonas Siegenthaler, and this year it's not the same, right? They're not. There's a chemistry issue, it seems which is almost impossible to fathom. And now I didn't look at the lines for tonight. Is he with Luke Hughes tonight, or is he with Siegenthaler?
I didn't look yet.
Okay, so either I'll try to figure that out once you're talking. I don't like that they put him with Hughes. It seems like they're trying to shoot for the moon and just going pure chaos, and I don't think this goaltender duo can handle pure chaos. Just hoping that you're having the puck in the offensive zone. I don't love that. We've seen a little bit of time with him and Kevin Ball, and it wasn't bad last year, right? So I think that's probably the next thing they're going to try. But I think that since Colin Miller came into the lineup, you're going 11-7 with Smith, and Smith is still the weak link on that defense. He's still just having his numbers show that he's just hasn't been good at all. The eye test shows he hasn't been good at all. He's been taking penalties, even in shorter. Did he take a penalty on Saturday? He did, right?
Which guy?
I'm pretty sure he took a penalty, and he played the least amount of time of anybody in the ice outside of Nosek, who got hurt. So he's just not playing quality minutes. If you replace him full time with Miller, who's looked pretty good, I think he's only played 2 contests, but he's looked pretty good. So I think that I think that's going to help having a decent Miller. Who knows what was going on in the preseason? I don't care. Those games didn't count. These games count, and Miller's played well. I see what you're saying with Hamilton. I don't think it's as bad as maybe the eye test says. Too many. Here's the thing with the defense is that there's 2 major things wrong with the defense. It's positioning and it's timing. And they are in the wrong position and they're making mental mistakes, which is mostly timing mistakes. Like the one famous goal where I think it was against the Avalanche where Hamilton was just completely out of position and it was Miles Wood, right? Where Miles Wood got to get a free breakaway. I've been, I'm still overall positive on what Hamilton is bringing to the lineup. I think that, there is a chemistry issue with the defense, but when you look at the goaltending, Sam, there's these metrics like goals saved above average, but even save percentage. Like you got to look at that save percentage well under 900 for both guys, both Schmid and Vanacek, and you're just not doing enough. And they're not facing a higher degree of high danger chances than other goalies in the league. They're just not. The Devils are giving up high danger chances, and maybe every high danger chance is not treated the same, right? A 2-on-1 is different than just a shot up close. But when you look at that, when you look at that rebound chance that was given up by Vanacek on Saturday, just hand them the goal. You can't give that up in that moment, and then his reaction time was poor.
Which
goal I want to see something worse.
Which goal are you talking about?
The Vesey goal, the winning goal, the game winner with about 3 minutes left. He kicked it out right to Vesey and then stared at him for a second before moving into position.
Well, that's a blown
assignment. Or no, maybe that's the Panarin goal.
No,
am I thinking of a Panarin goal?
No, the VC goal was a blown assignment. Matter of fact, he was untouched.
But wasn't it a rebound? Wasn't the VC goal a rebound?
I don't remember, to be honest. Dubs is like VC's Marino's assignment on that play. Yeah, I mean, he should have been knocked down.
I'm looking at it real quick. Yeah, I mean, listen, blame it on Marino all you want, but Vanacek didn't move. He let a juicy rebound that Marino could have gotten, but it shouldn't have been a rebound at all. Don't give up the rebound.
Nick, I'm going to tell you again. It's difference of opinion, but it's 80% defense, 20% goaltending.
That's a hard disagree. Hard. You can't give if you wanted to go 60-40, I'd be fine with that.
I don't think Shesterkin can do this well with this defense.
I just okay. It's hard to disagree.
I think Schmid is not playing as well as he did last year. I will say that. I think Vanacek is playing out of his mind, bailing the defense out. I think the scores should be even higher. That's just my opinion, though.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm watching this. I see Marino. Yeah, Marino did not play that well. I'll give you that. You can't let a guy walk through the middle of the defense with that, and just a very poor poke check attempt, or a stick lift attempt. I don't know what he was doing. To be this, to take a team with this much talent and be this average. It takes a village, right? It's not it's definitely not one thing. And again, I don't think if you trade for Hellebuck this offseason that it's drastically different than it is. Maybe you get, an extra 2 points. But and maybe it's because I knew the defense was going to be bad to start. I just didn't think it was going to be Marino. Marino needs to figure out what's ailing him.
He needs to be better. He's been inconsistent. There are times he's been good, but there's a lot of times he's been bad. Luke Hughes is actually the big surprise because we all thought it was going to be him, But remember, a rookie replaced Dougie Hamilton on PP1. Just remember that. It's
Yeah,
because he's
I
not a
think that there's
liability. He's not much of a
but you
liability.
remember I called for that, Sam. I called for
Yeah,
that in the
you did.
offseason. I
You
said
did.
put Luke Hughes on the first power play because he built the chemistry with Jack Hughes, get his confidence up. He has the skill set to do it. So I don't think that that's necessarily a negative.
No, it's not. But at the same time, you're paying a guy $9 million a year. You got to look at your cap situation. I know there's no trade clauses. I know there's a lot of relationships, but honestly, in year 3 at Dougie Hamilton, he needs to do a lot better, and I want him to do a lot better.
Yeah, and that's a fair point. He's not playing up to his salary.
But he can. But he can. That's the thing. He can.
He did last year.
Yeah,
he was great last year. I had no complaints with him last year. The year before, didn't play up to his salary. We blamed it on what was it, toe injury and the broken jaw and the shield. He had a lot of excuses his first year. This year, we don't know of an injury, right? We don't. Do you know of an injury right now for Hamilton?
No. Other than last season, he suffered it.
Yeah, he had the off-season surgery.
Yeah.
Right? Was that him?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think he got hurt in the Carolina series, if I'm not mistaken,
yeah.
or in the Rangers series.
But again, none of these seem injury related. It's positioning. It's timing. These are all, things that happen in your head. You got to be in the right position. You got to time things more correctly. And, I agree to a point that I agree that he's not playing up to his $9 million price point. I'll give you that 100 times out of 100. What's the fix though? Is it a call up? Do you try to call up Nemitz? Do you try to call up Hataka? Do you make a trade? What do you think the fix is? Or does Lindy Ruff just have to be harder on these guys?
I don't think it's personnel changes. I honestly think, and I don't, just so you're aware, I really don't know, other than I think the defense just takes way too many risks in the offensive zone. I think the concentration level, you talk about out of position. I mean, sometimes you see them bunched up, Siegenthaler and Marino bunched into the corner, and 3 forwards are left wide open in front of the crease. How is a goaltender going to defend that? You can't defend that. And how many times have we seen the defenseman pinch down, get caught, and then suddenly it's an odd man rush the other way, whether it's 5-on-5.
Well, that's not different than last year. They gave a ton of odd man rushes last year too. It's the system. That's the system.
And you know what? Maybe the system needs to change. You can't outgun.
Yeah, I got news for you. They're not going to change the system in the middle of the season.
Well, I know that. That's why I was saying. Scotty alluded to this in Devils After Dark, that once the Devils made an analogy, started to play the prevent defense, against the Rangers. Guess what happened? They got scored on, and and I was the one that said, what's the point of playing prevent? This team doesn't even know how to play defense at this point with this system. They're always caught out of position.
Yeah, I hate when they go into protect the lead mode because they're not good at it. Right? They're really bad at 2 things: protecting leads and empty nets. I can't name a time where they haven't given up an empty net goal. It's basically automatic, and it's fast. They pull the goalie, and a goal is scored in 8 to 10 seconds.
Yeah, I did notice that this season.
It's just stop pulling the goalie until you figure that out. There's no point. There's no point in keeping the goalie or pulling the goalie if it doesn't work ever. Science tells you when something works 0% of the time, there's something wrong with it. So, I don't think that they stop. I might write about this because it's awful. I think they're like 0 for 6 or 0 for 7 on empty nets, and you have the personnel to just play aggressively. And it's not like these guys are like getting breakaways; like they're shooting from the other side of the ice and getting in the net. So it's not like that it would be a goal anyway, right? It's not like you gave
there
up
have been
a
a
big
couple
chance.
200-footers, in the past couple games with the empty net. I mean, it's a lot.
But
of
if you
luck.
just play your power play, right? Play with 4 forwards and a offensive minded defenseman, right? You might give up chances, but the other way, but you have the personnel to play aggressively and just go after the puck like crazy. And that's another reason why, what's your opinion of the forecheck this season? Because that seems to me like teams are moonwalking into the zone. There's just not enough aggressiveness in the middle area. Well, teams are the MO on how to beat the Devils this season is to hit them. It's happening a lot in the neutral zone, where the Devils have not responded. Like, I know people want to respond to like fights and big hits, and I'm not big on that. But what I am big on is that you need to match the aggressiveness in the neutral zone, or you're just going to keep losing the puck.
Mm-hmm.
And they haven't done that. What's your opinion on that?
Well, I agree with you. Like, I hate staged fighting. I don't like any of that. I do like raw emotion though. But again, the Jacob Trouba keeps on happening. No response. You'd figure after Timo Meyer in the last playoffs that the Devils would come out with at least a message of some sort. But he did it again, and the blueprint's out. You can bully the Devils. You can bully the Devils. And that's why right now it's been reported about in Calgary possible trades, 2 different players.
Mm-hmm. Tanev and Zadorov.
Yeah,
are kind of the names that have been floated around.
And those are names that I like to hear. If there's a personnel change that you may want to make, I don't know cap-wise how they're going to make it work. Calgary's going to have to suck it up with some of the space, I would assume, if they were to make a deal with the New Jersey Devils. But at least Tom Fitzgerald, in my mind, is on the right track versus right now. And we talked about this in the offseason, Nick, about the goaltending. In the end, it's going to be an interim period where you see where did they stand in the first half before trade deadline. And that's what Tom Fitzgerald's doing. I just think that there's more urgency on team defense, so to speak, both on coaching and maybe personnel.
And here's the issue with that thought that we had in the offseason. We thought Anaheim was going to be bad. We thought Winnipeg was going to be going to the season with Connor Hellebuck on his last year of his deal. We thought Arizona was going to be bad. We thought Nashville was going to be dangling Jussi Saros. And we thought there was a couple other options, high-end options. We thought Philly was going to be bad. A Carter Hart trade seems unlikely, but, Philly's good so far. Arizona's good. They're in a playoff position so far. Good is a relative term, but they're fighting for a playoff spot right now. Connor Hellebuck signed an extension. Anaheim is the surprise of the season. They're not going to trade John Gibson now. And apparently Nashville's working on an extension with Saros. So your options are not dwindling. Your options are empty to trade for a goalie unless you want like Dan Vladar, who's not good, by the way. Like I wrote about him not too long ago, and I was kind of like, wait, why are we even talking about this guy? This guy's not good. He's not like I don't think you'd be an upgrade on the goaltending we have now. One of the guys that I was truly intrigued by and had conversations with Twitter about him, but Chris Krieger from he's in the Seattle system, but he's a guy who was really good with Florida a couple years ago. Had a pretty devastating injury, I think. I can't remember if it was an injury or an illness, but it like wiped out last season. He ended up playing the AHL, played really well for the Coachella Valley Firebirds. And he's a guy who doesn't have a spot right now because they have Grubauer, and I can't remember the other guy that's in Seattle, but who's both playing really well. But that's like you're talking about an AHL guy. The Devils worked really hard to like shore up the depth of the goaltending position with Keith Kincaid and El Calgren until Nico Dawes comes back. But now you're in a position where there's kind of nowhere to turn to, right? El Calgren's just he's not going to save this team. Keith Kincaid had a pretty bad injury in the preseason and has been bad with the Chicago Wolves to start the season. So you're kind of stuck with these two, right? You got to write Schmid and Vanacek, but it's just in a position where you're not playing well. And like seriously, Sam, like outside of the power play, nobody's playing well. The 5v5 offense has not been great like it was last year. The defense, like you said, bad. And again, Sam, I do agree that defense has been bad. I just don't think it's the worst part of the team. I do think the goaltending has been the problem. But there are a lot of problems. And I don't think we expected this coming into the season. We definitely didn't expect this.
If you want to go on a lot of blueprints, aside from the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Vegas Golden Knights won with Adin Hill. In years past, we've seen, Jordan Binnington, I'm thinking this is regular season. If you can get these two goaltenders to get you through the regular season, maybe by playoffs, they get hot. But you got to shore up.
They need to at least be league average.
I agree with you there, but Nick, Shorts guy talks about the goalie position. I play goalie in other sports. If your defense lets you down, psychologically it's demoralizing for a goaltender because if you can't trust the guys in front of you. I'm not saying that Vanacek and Schmid are having this issue. It also plays in poor performance with a goaltender as well.
Can I use another sport that I think you can relate to kind of maybe we can kind of get on the same page?
What's that?
Do you think Daniel Jones had a good season for the Giants this year?
Daniel Jones? Yeah, glimpses of brilliance.
Brilliance? Did you ever see brilliance?
Second half of
I had him on my fantasy team, so I was really looking close, and I just never saw it.
Second half of Arizona, he ran the ball.
Yeah, that was a good performance.
Yeah,
but against Arizona, it's a terrible team.
I said glimpses. I didn't say the entire season.
Obviously, Giants probably have the worst offensive line in the league, probably.
Mm-hmm.
So he was getting no blocking, and again, the positions are slightly different, but I think that goalie and quarterback are very similar in the fact that they have. Having a bad quarterback makes it nearly impossible to win a game. Having a bad goalie makes it nearly impossible to win a game. And I don't think in practice Vanacek and Schmid are bad goalies. I don't. Like we saw last year, something's just off. Goalie is voodoo. One year a superstar could be bad. The next year, an average goalie could be really good. I don't think that you found lightning in the bottle with Vanacek last year. But my issue with Vanacek is what you saw in the playoffs is happening now, where he is very scattered. He's making too large of moves within the crease on relatively easy saves. And his movement on the second effort is delayed. After he makes the save, I don't know if he can't find the puck, if he's freezing, like his instincts aren't working to move. I don't know what it is, but he's not moving on the rebound. He's not putting himself in front of the puck. He hits the puck. He comes out too far into the crease. Then he looks for the puck without moving. He just has to make a decision and move. If he makes the wrong decision, the result's going to be the same. Whether he delays his secondary move and gets there late, or whether he just makes a decision quickly and makes the wrong decision, it's still going to end up as a goal. You just have to, as that position, study it for as long as you have. That was what Martin Brodeur had 3 things that he was fantastic at. He could play the puck better than any goalie maybe in history. He had this amazing agility for a man his size, just that he can get to parts of the, he could stretch. I don't know if it was his yoga plan or whatever, but he could stretch to parts of the net, and he could make movements and bend in ways that seemed beyond the human mind. But his other was that he always would just make a decision on a rebound. How many great Brodeur saves did you see on the rebound? Because he just put himself in a position and, I don't know if he was guessing and he was just really good at guessing, or if he just, what I think he did is he could feel where the puck hit him and could predict where it was going to go from there. And he would make that prediction in his head quickly, and he would get there. And that's why he lasted as long as he did. That's why he was as good as he was, and the Devils need that instinct from one of them. You saw Schmid was really good at that last year, and it's just I don't know if it's he's not getting into rhythm because he's not getting in enough games. I don't know what it is. I really can't pinpoint why these goalies are bad, except for Vanacek when he doesn't make the right, when he's slow to make that secondary move. I'd like to see how many of the goals are on rebounds, because while the defense should help with that, do you agree that Vanacek needs to be better with rebound control?
Oh yeah, I think both goalies need to be.
Yeah.
And that was the great thing about Brodeur was he didn't give up much rebounds either,
No.
which affected
he would,
which affected the shots on goal at times, because he was the right goalie for the right system, because he was always awake, alert, and then he would cover up, and you're done. You're demoralized, the other team.
Yeah.
But Morgan said something in the YouTube Live, which that goes the other way too, Sam. If your goalie is leaking weak goals, that the defense less likely to defend with all you've got.
I don't agree.
Well, I was going to make a point in your favor, but okay, if you don't agree, that's fine.
I don't agree. I don't. You can't. Again, you're paying Dougie Hamilton $9 million. You can't get demoralized by the goalie behind you. Play your best game. Is that the point? They're demoralized by it?
I could tell you as a goaltender, again, not in this sport, that if I gave up a bad goal, sometimes I would get heat from my own teammates. So I don't know. I don't know. But the point, I was going to make and ask a question and bring it back to you, Nick, and the audience. And Brandon, that's asking about Ann Crew Brew. I'll get to that at the end of the podcast. Just hold off on that question. He has no luck in Warren County getting Ann Crew Brew, but I will get to that, Brandon, towards the end of the podcast. But here's the question: if you had to, do you think the Devils will be much better today if by some reason they fix their goaltending by getting Hellebuck for some miracle, or do you think it will get better if they bring in a great power defenseman?
So you got to look at the subtraction and addition to it, right? So if you bring in a power defenseman on the left side, which I think Zadorov, and I think Tanev is a lefty too, I assume you're taking out Kevin Ball. So you're subtracting Kevin Ball from the lineup and adding a Tanev, let's say, because I want Tanev a little bit more than Zadorov. So you're subtracting Ball, adding Tanev. Is that difference better than subtracting Vanacek and adding Hellebuck?
It's a good question. I just wanted to pose out for discussion.
I don't think it is. I think that getting and again, like you're talking about a much different level of defenseman than you're talking about level of goalie. We're talking about superstar goalies because that's really like the only thing that makes sense. It doesn't make sense to kind of get a middling goalie at this point, but it makes sense to get.
There are no superstar goalies available. So what's the point?
Correct.
Of fixing the goaltending when there's none available?
Which is why I don't think it's happened yet.
Yeah.
Tom Fitzgerald wanted to, since the offseason, set it up where Schmid would be the starter in Utica. It didn't work out. So, I don't know. It is what it is. Before we go, I know we have a few minutes left because I know you got to get set up for the game. What do you think of Holtz? It's kind of an up and down game against the Rangers. Basically, it was what? It was very boom or bust. And I don't know how Lindy Ruff. I don't think Lindy Ruff likes that. I don't think he'd. I don't mind it. I try to take it like the whole. And if you give up a goal and score a goal or had a big part in a goal, but what's your assessment of Holtz?
Steady improvement. I think he's getting better game by game. He had a little bit of benching, so to speak, recently. He's not somebody that I'm going crazy for right now, but I really don't have an opinion. I really don't have an opinion. He's just there.
Yeah.
He's not exciting me like Eric Holla or any of these players. I mean, Palat, that's another story as well, Palat, because he too, just like Dougie Hamilton, is making a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And, again, you want leadership. Again, we're not in the locker room. We can only go by what we read or what we hear,
Mm-hmm.
But they got to be held accountable.
Yeah, Palat has. My main worry with Palat was that he just went hard for 3 straight seasons with Tampa, and what does that do to a guy, right? Playing that, he played close to 100 games 3 seasons in a row.
Yeah.
Or maybe more. I got probably more, right? 82, and then I don't know. Actually, never mind, because one was a COVID year. But anyway, he played 20 plus more games than the normal season, 3 years in a row, and then immediately signed here. Immediately tore his groin up. And he hasn't been the same since, because we forget he was really good before he had that injury. I've heard a lot of arguments that you sign, you sign Holla for the playoffs. Okay. You got to get there. And right now this Devils team is not in the playoffs. I'm going to do some calculations. I want to see.
Well, I kind of made the point a couple podcasts ago that this could be like the Florida Panthers of last season. Taking a while to figure things out during the regular season, but still in the hunt.
I don't know if you remember this, but I said that was our worst case scenario. Is that I think this not the playoffs part, but getting in like the Florida Panthers did. And if that's your worst case scenario, it's not terrible. All right, so if the Devils win tonight, that'll give them 19 points. So that's a big if. Detroit's still pretty good. And that would actually tie them with Detroit. But Detroit's played one more game, so it would have them jump them. They would jump the Penguins. I don't know if the Penguins are playing tonight. That would put them 5th in the Metropolitan Division, barring anything that happens with the Penguins tonight. But they're still at a playoff spot because Tampa has 22 points. So there's nothing the Devils could do to get into a playoff spot tonight, which is, that Thanksgiving cutoff. I just, you have to have a better December. And the point I made, Sam, is we forget. I think the Devils, I don't remember if I said this on the last podcast. The Devils went 4-7-1 in December last year. 4-7-1 is a bad month.
It was a bad month.
And they broke a franchise record for points. A lot of people came into the season expecting the Devils to be better than they were last year. And I didn't, because the Devils had never done that. How are you going to expect to improve upon something you've never done? Like, literally a historic season. I think we're looking at, 101 point season. And when you have a 101 point season, there's ups and downs. And we're on a serious down right now. But win tonight. If you win tonight, you're at 19 points at the break. It's not even a break. They play on a Friday. You're at 19 points at American Thanksgiving. You can then, if you win on Friday, which if they lose on Friday, because Friday's against Columbus, and Columbus is dog doo-doo right now. But you got to win on Friday. You really have to win tonight. And then you got 21 points. Depending on what Carolina does, that could get you into that last playoff spot. There's a lot. There's a lot that goes into this. I just think that the Devils, they just need to start banking these wins. Hopefully you get Nico Hischier back on Friday. Hopefully Jack Hughes. I mean, Jack Hughes looked like he hadn't missed a beat on Saturday. I know he made that one mistake, but that's kind of part of Jack Hughes' game. He's going to make a mistake here and there for a second, but he's going to make up with it with 10 or 12 good plays. Mm-hmm. And, I appreciate why you're worried about the defense, because it is a problem. The goaltending, I think, is going to bounce back somewhat, but I still don't think you have the answer in net right now. And I've said this. I think I've said this on this podcast. I think it's Nico Daws at the end of the season. I think Nico Daws, if he comes back from this hip injury and looks like the guy he did before, I think he's the guy. He was the most talented guy in the system last year. The reason they brought Schmid up was because Daws needed starter reps. And then Schmid played out of his mind and earned his spot. And then he earned his spot on the playoff roster. And then he earned his spot as the playoff starter. But Daws was always the guy. They used a third-round pick on him. He seemed like a steal at the draft. They've been developing him hard. He was the starting goaltender, although he lost the job, but he was the starting goaltender for Team Canada at the World Juniors. Like, this is a guy with a pedigree. So we'll see. Maybe he's the answer, or maybe it's Brennan, who's, a guy who was really good in juniors. Or, there's a lot still to be fleshed out. There's a lot of people who have been talking about, signing Poultier to a NHL deal, so you could call him up, but that's complicated because of the salary cap. You lose some cap space by doing that. There's a lot of options here, Sam. A lot could be fleshed out. It's November, and it's not like the Devils or the Oilers, right? They don't have 11 points. They have 16, 17 actually, and they haven't gotten a lot of luck because none of these games are going to overtime, so they're not getting any loser points. It's fine. Everything's going to be fine. We all need to take a breath. Everything's going to be fine. I'm actually going to write 5 reasons to be optimistic for Thanksgiving. That's going to be my Thanksgiving present to the Devils fans. Optimistic about their playoff chances.
I want to write about how the Islander fans got gypped out of a photo out on the ice because of what the Ranger fans did.
Can I talk about that for 2 minutes?
Oh, absolutely. I thought that's how we're going to start the podcast, but we got into some really good hockey talk that I couldn't But that's been on my mind. I've seen your responses on Twitter.
How are you letting that happen? How did you let the Rangers fans do it? It's what, like, I have no ill will towards the Islanders fans, but like, how, like, this is not a poverty franchise. But when you do stuff like that, you look like one. You look like a poverty franchise if you're taking people's money in exchange for taking a picture on our logo.
Well, this is the owner, and I'm speaking on my behalf, not yours, that can't provide hot water for the Commanders and Giants after the game, and concession stands are half of them are closed in the arena, and you've got, but you can serve alcohol at full force with people with empty stomachs, with hard to access good food at the Prudential Center.
You spent all this time, like, you contracted Levy to do your food, but you can't, like, you can't hire enough. I assume that's what it is. They can't hire enough people. Pay them more.
You know what? I've heard multiple excuses from other season ticket holders what their reps said. From what I was told was they were just doing it one at a time. It's not a big deal, and it's, I'm getting the talking points on it. It was a big problem.
You're talking about the concession stands.
Yeah, because it was a big problem because I noticed it on Game Day Live and Devils After Dark, especially Devils After Dark. Both Ranger fans and Devils fans are a little angry coming out of that game. And, again, this is – I don't even know who to point fingers at on this, but management – I've said this. I've complained about this on the Woo Report. They don't hire people from New Jersey, so they don't understand this fan base to begin with. And you should know better not to do this for Devils Rangers. You should know better, especially after last season's playoff run. You should know better. You should read Marty Brodeur's book. John McMullen is on.
Brodeur's in the front office, though.
He's in the front office, but he's probably. I hate to say it, but I'm not going to say it because I'll get in trouble to say it. But
Brodeur's in the front office, and they put him on the business side when he first got here, so he would understand these things. So I can't even use that excuse.
Yeah,
anymore,
but they said that Brodeur designed the stupid jersey. We know that wasn't true.
But people like the jersey now. I'm now in the minority of hating the jersey. Right? Everybody likes the jersey now.
I hate
and that's exactly what they wanted. But here's the thing, Sam. The picture on the ice is terrible. That is
bad optics.
I hate that I saw that.
Which is surprising. Which is so surprising because this franchise, to their credit, is very concerned about their self-image. Which is, they're very strategic in their PR. They're very strategic.
I don't think
they're.
Can I?
Yep.
As a PR professional, as somebody who is my job to be in PR, they are not concerned about their image. They are concerned about their perception. And today's decision, where they told the Islanders fans that they couldn't go on the ice anymore, shows that that's true. They're not concerned about their image, or they would be strategic in how they make these decisions. They're concerned about how people perceive them.
It's just a play on words. That's what I meant.
I feel like you're more proactive when you're worried about it. Like, you try to think of how your decisions will impact that image. If you're worried about your perception, you're reactive to everything. Like, you try to get away with things. You try to nickel and dime things until people complain about it. You try to get money from Rangers fans. And what was it last year's playoffs where the reps got caught calling Rangers fans and selling them tickets? Not caught. Yeah. I don't know what the right word is, but like, fans found out that they were calling Rangers fans for playoff games. Like, these things don't make sense because there was enough Devils fans to fill that arena for the playoffs, but they went for the quick buck. There's a lot of cutting corners. There's a lot of taking the easy way out, and I'm probably going to get in trouble for this because I do work with the Devils a lot to get guests and on articles and when I need like certain things, and media passes when I need certain things, but I've never been anything but a straight shooter, and it is what it is. You got to do better as an organization. You can't have closed food stands for Devils Rangers. You just can't. And Sam, I get it. Like, they can only work so many dates, and I'm sure that they're packing that arena for concerts. I'd have to look. I don't want to speak for it without knowing, but I assume, because you have the same concession stand people for Devils games as you do concerts and all that. So, and it's hard to get people to work those jobs.
I'll be honest with you. This will shock you. That picture of the Ranger fans on the ice, I don't really care about it. I mean, there was one time where the Phillies had the New York Mets group leader, a Mets fan as a group leader, throw out the first pitch because they sold enough tickets down in Philly. If you remember that.
That's not weird to you?
It's weird, but at the same time, you know what? The Islander fans, I mean, I read that post, 4 months, this was a done deal, and you let the Ranger fans take away it's kind of, you don't know if the Ranger fans were raising money for cancer that night because it's November. You just simply don't know what the reasoning that group outing is, just to be fair, But it's not like they gave us the finger, in the picture, I'm just saying, I like to take the other argument of it, but honestly, when I saw it, I laughed. But at the same time, I was more pissed about the other stuff, like concession stands being closed, but you still can feed everybody alcohol. Like, if you had that same effort on the alcohol that you did with the food, this wouldn't have been a problem. But I'll tell you, on Saturday, doing Game Day Live and Devils After Dark, and I'll tell you off air, there were some scary moments doing that live podcast. There were some real scary
Were you on the stage? I didn't.
We were on the stage, and then we were inside. And both times I was none too pleased.
Well,
so
I mean, we're running out of time, so I do want to get my plugs in, but I just think the organization has to do better.
Oh, and they can. They have the talent to do it.
And they can.
Yeah.
That's so true.
That's why we're disappointed, because we know that they can do better. It's not like we're saying they're dopes. We're just saying, like, hey, come on. But plug away, Nick. Plug away.
Yeah, I'll be quick. 2 articles coming out probably in the next 24 hours. One, I want to do, I told you I'm going to do the 5 reasons why the Devils should still be optimistic about their playoff chances. That's going to come out sometime tomorrow. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. And I'm going to do a story on Lou Lamoriello. There's some rumors that he might not have a job soon. So I kind of just want to do a retrospective and kind of be like, it's strange. I think I did this last year. We did a podcast on it. I don't remember. I've dug Lou's grave before. I'm going to do it again. So Lou Lamoriello piece is going to come out probably tomorrow morning. And then make sure we have a ton of great content already up there. I did a story about like 3 lessons the Devils should learn from the Edmonton Oilers. And then I put out a banger a couple days ago that I was really proud of about the 5 moves that Tom Fitzgerald luckily avoided. Mm-hmm. He wanted to sign Johnny Gaudreau to a big contract. We remember that. And everybody and their mother said that the Devils were going to sign Jack Campbell in free agency. So moves like that, better to be lucky than good. The best moves you make are the ones that you don't actually make, so so that's up there on Pucks and Pitchforks right now. So go read that, while you're watching the game. But big game tonight, Red Wings, Devils, let's go.
Hey, Jimmy Clausen, you remember him?
Yeah.
Notre Dame, he's actually watching us on YouTube Live right now.
Oh, wow. Hey, Jimmy Clausen, how you doing?
Yeah. Anyway, no, Brandon, I'm not talking to you. I will message you, I promise, after the podcast. But thank you to all those tuning in. Remember, Crew Brew will be coming to a liquor store near you. But yeah, all right, time to get out of here, Nick. By the way, tell the missus that happy Thanksgiving, you and your family. And obviously, this is going to be a special one this year because it's a little one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I got to get you one of these, Nick. We'll have to talk off air. But thank you to everybody tuning in.
Sitting here thirsty, Sam.
Yeah, and I'm more taunting Nick than Brandon. Anyway, till next time, let's go Devils.